Sup, homie? Leon here, back with another collection update. Today I thought I'd share with you guys some recent Signet paperbacks that I've acquired. Signet, as you may know, is an imprint of North American Library, and they used to publish a wealth of awesome pulp horror paperbacks back in the day. I mean, they published everything, every genre, and in the early 80s, they did put out quite a few horror paperbacks, including all those classic Stephen King titles that a lot of you probably grew up with. And, they published horror up until about, well, they never really stopped completely, but around the late 80s, North American Library, I guess, decided that they wanted to create a sort of more concentrated horror division, and they came up with Onyx Horror, which I talk about all the time, and is probably, if I'm being honest, one of my favorite imprints of that era, just because they really published just balls to the wall, crazy stuff. Definitely, influenced by the horror cinema of the time, where everything was just louder and goopier and gorier. So Signet, I've always been a huge fan of their early, late 70s and early 80s books. So we're going to be taking a look at a few of those today. Okay, shit. By the way, this is my cool little vintage King Kong glass. A funny story about this glass, actually. So this past weekend, I had a date, and we came back here. We had some drinks, and I'm a gentleman, so I offered this lady a glass of water, and I gave her this glass. Right? I poured the water here, and I gave it to her, and I swear to God, when she saw this glass, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're kind of a nerd, aren't you?" And suffice it to say, she said it with a smile, but was not impressed. Not impressed, this is why I'm 35 and still single, folks. I'm just can't meet someone who understands my fine level of nerddom. But anyway, enough of that. Fucking, this isn't a vlog. Let's get down to brass tacks. Signet. All right. So the first book we are going to be looking at is Cat's Eye by Lee Jordan. This book was published in 1983, this paperback edition. Looks like it was first published in 1981. And that is a pretty cool cover there. Definitely has that sort of early 80s flavor. Next one has even more early 80s flavor. This is a typical Signet. We've got The Unholy by Alex Nabrensky, which apparently was a pseudonym for the author Parley Cooper, who published, it looks like just like a bunch of like romance novels in the 70s. And, must have thought, the early 80s horror was hot, and thought that she would jump on the bandwagon and publish this book. I don't know if she published any other horror titles under this name, but I don't know. That one, a pretty cool little atmospheric cover. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, have I shown this book before? I don't know, I got deja vu there for a minute. When you have so many books, it's hard to keep track. If I did, I apologize. Okay, next we've got Prey by C. Terry Klein. And this one was published by Signet in 1985. And pretty cool cover. One of those, simple yet effective covers. All right, I'm pretty excited about the next one. This is The Nightwalker by Thomas Tessier. Tessier? I don't know, it's probably not that pretentious. This edition was published in 1981, though it looks like it was first published in 1979. I've heard a lot of things about Thomas Tessier, and this book in particular. I think Will Erickson praised this book pretty highly on his blog, Too Much Horror Fiction. And I've always been curious to check it out. This one, cover looks a little worse for wear, but I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out. My trademark saying, right? Okay, next up, this is a classic Signet type cover. This is New Blood by Richard Salem, and this came out in 1982. And if you just showed me that painting, and asked me, like, it's very saliently a Signet, I should say. It's just like their style. Looks pretty intriguing. I'm curious about this one. And like I said, I love that era, that early 80s Signet era, which a lot of these are. Okay, next we've got A Feast for Spiders This book was written by Kenneth L. Evans and published in 1980. All right, the next one, we've got The Child Player. This was written by William Dobson and published in 1981. And I do love my evil kid books, or evil adolescents. So this one definitely seems intriguing. Okay, here we go with another typical Signet cover. Next up is Not a Stranger by John R. Fiegel. And this one was published in 1984. And yeah, that also is very Signet. They loved their sort of silhouettes. They would often have like kind of the silhouette of a man in the foreground. This time, you know, quite menacing looking figure. Yeah, that's really cool, striking image. Okay, next we've got The Intruder by Brooke Lamis. This book was published in 1980, and so yeah, that's definitely transitional, you know, late 70s, early 80s, pretty cool. And another one by Brooke Lamis. This is The Summer Visitors, and this one also was published in 1980. Because when these guys were writing, you know, they were busy. You know, they churn out a lot, and you know, some of these might have been, who knows how long they'd had these books. But yeah, that one. Okay, just a couple more here. Got The Accursed by Paul Borston, and this book was published in 1977, and that's a very 70s looking cover. Can dig that. Paul Borston is the one who I showed a book in a recent video of his called Savage. I think that's what it was, the slasher that looks really fun. So this one was written before that, so you know, maybe I'll start with this one. Maybe I'll start with the other one. Who knows? And finally, the last one, you know, because my true homies are the ones that watch these videos to the end. You're my true kindred, and I always try to save something cool for you guys. This is not even horror, but this is the Gadget Factor, one of Signet's science fiction, I guess, books. I mean, like I said, Signet published all genres, and this was written by Sandy Landsman and published in 1985, which is clearly evident from that cover. That cover just screams 1985. I mean, you gotta love the pink neon lettering of the title, and it just looks charming as hell. You know, this just looks like a fun little sort of kiddie-like sci-fi adventure. Saw that and I was like, what the hell? I'll check that out. It could be a fun little excursion, you know. So yeah, the Gadget Factor. Rounding it out. So yeah, that's it, guys. Short little update. Those are all Signet titles. Hope you enjoyed watching it. If you've seen any of those books, or you know, are interested in any of those books, you know, hit me up. I'm always happy to see comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later, hopefully with another review pretty soon. Okay, peace out, guys.